Tofu gets a bad rap from a lot of people because they think it's gross. I happen to like tofu, particularly this recipe, which is extra firm tofu. It's going to be an oven-baked tofu. Nice and crispy, not all the added fat of having to fry it. And it's nice because once you get it all ready to go, you just pop it in the oven. The one that we're going to use is an extra firm tofu that's water packed. We'll start off by just simply cutting into the package in a couple of spots or by doing an L shape so that the water can drain off of. Now that our tofu is drained, we'll just peel back from the wrapper. What our goal is here is to press out as much of the fluid that it's been packed in, just so we get a really nice, dry, crispy product. So I have two plates, 2 paper towels. You can use a nice, clean cut towel as long as it's not a fuzzy one that's gonna get any lint in your tofu. You could use that as well. Again, we're just trying to press out as much of the fluid as possible. So this is the system that they, kind of a modified system of what they recommend. You will take your plate and put a plate on top. You can also I use my heavy 8-cup glass measuring bowl and just center it on top of the tofu. And we'll watch these paper towels. If you wanted to, you could just toss them at each rotation. If you try to wring them out, you want to try and get as much moisture out so they're as dry as possible to soak up more of that moisture that's still stuck in the tofu. Looks like our paper towels are just about saturated actually. So when I do that, I just remove the plate. You can see the paper towels are pretty damp. This one's not quite as damp, the one that's on top, so I usually rotate those out. All right. Rotate those, and you can even turn the tofu as well if you like to do that. We're going to mix up some marinade for our tofu. 1 tablespoon sesame seed oil, 1 tablespoon soy sauce, 1 tablespoon rice vinegar, a tablespoon water, and this step is optional. I'm going to add in a tablespoon of sriracha. The sriracha chili garlic sauce is also a really great option too. And then we'll just whisk this up. So now we'll work on cubing up our tofu. We just want it to be fairly equal cuts. I'm going to try and make them into fairly small cubes just because I want there to be more surface area for it to take on the flavors of the marinade, and then also because I want it to get that better. To me, I like the chewier texture, again less gelatinous, so I want it to be smaller so when I go to roast it in the oven it gets more firm. Okay, so I'm doing probably about 1/4 of an inch or so slices. And now I'm going to go back and just turn these into smaller cubes. And put them in the marinade. Now that we have all of the tofu cubed up, we're just going to give it a stir in the marinade so that it can all get exposed, all sauced up, and then we're going to put it in the refrigerator to sit for as long as you want, in terms of like up to a day. You can let it soak. I'm gonna give it about 4 hours to get a pretty good marinade. This works really well to prepare the night before you're going to eat it, so the evening after you finish your supper, you can start to prepare this to let it sit and marinate while you are at work. While our oven is preheating, we're going to toss our marinated cubes, our tofu cubes, in some cornstarch to help them crisp up. Really, I always find that it soaks up most of the marinade, if not all of it, so I don't need to transfer it to another container or drain it like the recipe recommends, and then toss it all around. And the cornstarch is on the cubes. We're going to transfer them to a baking sheet. And I have a non-stick liner on here as well. I'm going to try and space them out to where they will have contact with the pan and not stuck on top of each other. That'll help them cook a little more evenly. Okay, when the oven is ready, we'll put our pan in. It's been about 10 minutes, so we're going to give everything a turn here. Now back into the oven for at least 10 minutes, maybe up to 30 minutes, depending on what texture you like for your tofu. And you do want to keep giving it a toss every 10 minutes of cooking time, just so it cooks evenly. After about 30 or 40 minutes in the oven, our tofu is the texture I like. You might prefer yours a little less. It's really dependent on what size you cube your tofu in, or what shape you choose to use, and your preference. So play around with it, see what you like. Hopefully you enjoy your tofu. I know I'm going to.